UK debt crisis sparks shock after Lammy reveals new records. You're not going to believe this. Just minutes ago, the political ground in the United Kingdom shifted and Keir Starmer's government is scrambling.
Why?
Because David Lammy, one of Keir Starmer's closest allies, has revealed figures that no one in Westminster wanted to talk about. Records that shine a light on the UK's growing debt burden, and the sheer scale of it has left even hardened politicians stunned. Now, if you think this is just another economic update, think again. This feels different. This feels like the moment when the polite curtain drops, and the truth about Britain's finances comes roaring out into the open. And the timing couldn't be worse. Just as Labour has been trying to show stability, calm, and control, Lammy steps forward with numbers that suggest the UK's debt has quietly ballooned to record levels. Levels that raise serious questions, not just about the Conservatives' past mismanagement, but also about what Starmer's Labour can really deliver in the years ahead. So what exactly happened? During a press briefing earlier today, David Lammy presented updated government debt records. His tone was measured, but the figures themselves were jaw-dropping. According to the latest data, the UK's national debt has surpassed £2.7 trillion. Yes, trillion. That's more than 100% of GDP. In simple terms, Britain owes more than its entire economy produces in a year. And while the UK isn't alone in this, countries like Japan and the US also run staggering debts. The problem for Britain is how fast this has been climbing. Lammy's revelation highlighted not just the raw numbers, but the trajectory. Borrowing has accelerated since the pandemic. Inflation, energy bailouts, and soaring interest payments are pushing the debt mountain higher at a pace not seen in decades. And here's the kicker: interest payments alone are expected to top £110 billion this year. That's money going out of taxpayers' pockets, not to schools or hospitals, but just to service the debt. Almost immediately, political insiders began whispering. One senior Conservative MP was quoted as saying, "Lammy has just handed us a weapon. If Labour admits debt is this bad, how do they plan to pay for their promises?" Meanwhile, opposition figures outside of Parliament seized on the moment. Reform UK's Richard Tice blasted the revelation, saying, "Britain is sinking under debt, and yet all we hear from Labour is more spending plans. This is economic madness." Even within Labour, the reaction wasn't smooth. Some backbench MPs, speaking privately to journalists, admitted that the timing was awkward. One told the BBC, "We knew debt was high, but putting it out like this right before conference season risks playing straight into Tory attack lines." And on social media, it exploded. Comments poured in within minutes. "This is why we don't trust them anymore. Numbers are hidden until it's too late. Starmer promised responsibility. Where is it?" And one viral tweet simply read, "Britain is broke. Admit it." Debt, by itself, isn't necessarily catastrophic. Governments borrow all the time. But the issue here is the combination of debt and rising interest rates. Remember, the Bank of England has hiked rates to fight inflation, and that means the cost of borrowing is soaring too. It's a double hit. Debt is bigger than ever, and it's also more expensive than ever. And here's the uncomfortable truth: that debt has been piling up for years. Under Conservative governments, spending ballooned during COVID. Under Labour now, commitments to green investment, infrastructure, and social care reforms are set against the same mountain. So Lammy's records don't just embarrass Keir Starmer and the government, they highlight a national dilemma. Do you cut spending, raise taxes, or keep borrowing, hoping growth eventually saves the day? None of those options are popular. And whichever path Starmer chooses, it's going to cost political capital. What makes this revelation so explosive is timing. Starmer has been selling himself as the man to fix Britain, restore credibility, end chaos. But voters are now asking, how do you fix a country drowning in debt? For working families, these numbers aren't abstract. They show up in real life. Higher taxes, frozen wages, public services stretched to the limit. A London cab driver put it bluntly in a radio call-in, "They're talking about billions and trillions, but all I know is my fuel costs more, my rent is higher, and my kid's school can't even afford books." That's the reality behind the spreadsheets. And here's where it gets tricky for Starmer. If he cuts spending, he angers his base. If he raises taxes, he angers the middle class. If he borrows more, markets may panic just like they did during Liz Truss's short-lived premiership. It's a political tightrope, with no safety net. So what happens next? Expect the Conservatives to go all in on this. They'll say Labour can't be trusted with the economy. They'll replay this revelation in every debate, every campaign ad. Expect markets to react too. Investors are watching, and if confidence wobbles, the pound could take a hit. And expect ordinary people to grow even more skeptical of promises from both parties. Because when debt becomes the headline, hope becomes harder to sell. Here's the bottom line. David Lammy didn't just read out numbers today. He set off a political chain reaction. A moment where the story is no longer about Tory mismanagement or Labour promises, but about whether Britain itself is sliding into a debt trap with no easy exit. And the question remains, if this is just the beginning, how much deeper does it go? Because right now, one thing is clear, the UK's financial crisis isn't some distant threat. It's here. It's real. And it could reshape everything.